we managed to uncover a secret that Washington had been hiding for years: weapons of mass destruction. Go ahead and subscribe for now, and I'll tell you all the details. So, nuclear weapons capable of destroying all living things and leveling buildings within a radius of dozens of kilometers remain one of the main threats of the 21st century. Today, the world's attention is focused on negotiations between the United States of America and Russia regarding the possible reduction of nuclear arsenals. At the same time, harsh and apocalyptic statements, mostly coming from the Russian side, are heightening public anxiety and bringing the issue of global security back to the forefront. The United States of America and Russia possess about 90% of the world's nuclear arsenal. According to data from 2023 to 2024, Russia has approximately 6,000 warheads, while the US has about 5,000. Of these, about 1,500 are deployed, meaning they are on actual combat duty in each country. The rest are in reserve or awaiting decommissioning. These figures demonstrate the scale of the accumulated potential and explain why any changes in relations between the two states are perceived as a factor of global risk. Nuclear weapons are the most powerful ever created by humankind. However, even such a destructive weapon was once lost. This refers specifically to the Mark 15 thermonuclear bomb, which was accidentally lost and unaccounted for by the United States military during their routine training exercises. Its yield was 172 times greater than the explosion of Trinity, the first nuclear test conducted as part of the Manhattan Project under the direction of Robert Oppenheimer at the Alamogordo test site. In this video, we will tell you in detail how the most powerful weapon was simply lost and how such a thing could even happen. But as usual, I'd like to ask you to write in the comments what you think about everything that's happening around nuclear weapons in the 21st century. Does this topic really frighten you? Subscribe to the channel and of course give this video a like. And now let's begin. The history of nuclear weapons is inextricably linked to scientific debates and political decisions. American physicist Robert Oppenheimer opposed the creation of so-called superbombs, believing that such weapons could genocidally destroy entire regions. Despite his firm stance against it, the government of the United States ultimately decided to move forward with the development. On the morning of January 31st, 1950, the 33rd President of the United States, Harry S. Truman, officially authorized the members of the Atomic Energy Commission to continue their intensive work on all various forms of atomic weapons, which specifically included the development of the hydrogen or thermonuclear bomb. Back in 1942, physicist Edward Teller, whom you can also see now, proposed the idea of creating a superbomb based on the fusion of hydrogen isotopes. However, at the early stage, scientists did not know how such a reaction could be initiated under terrestrial conditions. Before this, as part of the Manhattan Project, an atomic bomb based on the fission of uranium was created. Its yield was measured in tens of kilotons. Thermonuclear weapons, however, were expected to reach megaton levels. In the early post-war years, it was believed that a yield of 10 to 20 kilotons was sufficient to deter the USSR. However, the situation changed after the Soviet Union conducted its own nuclear weapons tests in Semipalatinsk in 1949, having obtained secret information including from Klaus Fuchs. At the meeting of the National Security Council Subcommittee on January 31st, 1950, Truman asked the question, "Can the Russians do it?" After receiving an affirmative answer, he lifted the existing restrictions. In 1952, the United States conducted the first thermonuclear explosion, Ivory I, with a yield of 10.4 megatons. The very next year, the USSR carried out similar tests. Thus began a full-scale arms race, the consequences of which are still felt today. One of the episodes of this arms race was the story of the so-called Tybee Bomb. This refers to the Mark 15 thermonuclear bomb. The yield of this bomb is 3.8 megatons, and it was lost during exercises simulating a nuclear conflict with the USSR. According to the Pentagon's scenario, American aviation was supposed to deliver a retaliatory strike on Moscow, a role that was conditionally played by the city of Radford in Virginia. However, during the training flight, a chain of events occurred that led to the incident. In February 1958, two B-47 Stratojet strategic bombers with the call signs Ivory I and Ivory II took off from Homestead Air Force Base in Florida. Each aircraft was carrying a thermonuclear bomb on board. The flight was conducted under radio silence. According to the scenario, the crews were supposed to evade enemy air defenses. After completing their simulated mission, the planes were returning to base. At the same time, a group of fighters was also in the air. You can see them here, F-86L Sabres, which were participating in other exercises. Their task was to detect the enemy aircraft and lock onto it. The pilots were not informed about the bomber's mission, and the B-47 crews were unaware of the presence of the fighters. While carrying out their respective missions, the routes of these two groups crossed. One of the F-86 pilots detected the Ivory I aircraft on radar and mistook it for a simulated target. At the same time, the radar did not pick up the second B-47, which was about 1.5 kilometers behind, carrying a thermonuclear bomb. As a result, the fighter collided with the second bomber. Both aircraft sustained serious damage and began to go down. The pilots ejected. The B-47 commander, understanding the risks, made the decision to drop the bomb over the ocean, hoping in this way to reduce the potential threat to the population. The Mark 15 thermonuclear bomb, which fell in the area of Tybee Island off the coast of Georgia, landed on a piece of land separated from the mainland by marshy terrain. The bomb fell from a height of about 2 kilometers at a speed of approximately 370 kilometers per hour and crashed into the water. The investigation did not reach a definitive conclusion as to whether it contained the plutonium capsule necessary for a full detonation. The fact remains that there was no explosion, radioactive contamination, or casualties. Search operations were conducted in several stages immediately after the incident, that is, from February to April 1958, then in 2001 to 2004, and again from 2015 to the present day. Despite the efforts of the military, scientists, and enthusiasts, the bomb has never been found. According to the latest version, the Mark 15 may be located at a depth of 2 to 10 meters beneath a layer of silt, which complicates its search and possible retrieval. A thermonuclear bomb is a weapon whose explosive power is based on a chain reaction of the fusion of hydrogen isotopes, tritium and deuterium. Similar reactions occur in the cores of stars and are accompanied by the release of an enormous amount of energy. In the event of the detonation of a thermonuclear device, a powerful shockwave is generated, capable of completely destroying buildings within a radius of 5 to 9 kilometers. At the same time, an intense flash of light occurs, capable of damaging the retina of the eye at a distance of, just think about it, 20 to 30 kilometers. And the thermal radiation incinerates all living things and ignites flammable materials. An additional threat is posed by radioactive fallout, which contaminates the air, water, and soil. The main scientific challenge lies in the fact that when creating a superbomb, there is a need to reach temperatures of millions of degrees. Such conditions are exactly what is needed for the fusion of light nuclei into heavier ones. Such temperatures naturally exist in the centers of stars, but they needed to be recreated on Earth. The solution was to use the energy from uranium fission, that is, the energy of a conventional atomic bomb, as the initiating mechanism. Additionally, instead of using pure deuterium and tritium, lithium-6 deuteride was used. As a result, a design was created whose power exceeded that of the first atomic charges by hundreds of times. To understand the scale of the consequences of such explosions, there are special models. For example, in the event of the detonation of the American W-88 warhead with a yield of 475 kilotons, complete destruction of buildings is predicted within a radius of 2 to 2.5 kilometers. Severe burns can be sustained by people at a distance of 7 to 9 kilometers, and fires and firestorms are capable of engulfing an area within a radius of up to 12 to 15 kilometers. If we consider more powerful devices such as the Tsar Bomba, which has a yield of 50 megatons, the zone of total destruction can reach up to 20 kilometers. Severe burns are possible at a distance of about 100 kilometers, and vision damage can occur tens or even hundreds of kilometers from the epicenter. The radioactive substances produced during a thermonuclear explosion include the same isotopes as in an atomic explosion: iodine-131 with a half-life of 8 days, cesium-137 with a decay period of 30 years, strontium-90 29 years, ruthenium-106 369 days, cerium-144, a decay period of 284 days, Promethium-147, 2 years and 6 months, and others. Their spread determines the long-term consequences for the environment and public health. As of today, there are 12,321 nuclear warheads in the world, and almost all of them are thermonuclear. At the beginning of 2026, more than 2,000 of them were in a state of heightened combat readiness, according to analysts from the FAS portal. Reuters reminds us that on February 5th, the New START Treaty on the reduction of strategic offensive arms between the United States of America and Russia expired. Moscow suspended its participation in the treaty in 2023, but Russian President Putin reportedly proposed to extend the agreement for another year. If no corresponding decision is made, the two countries with the largest nuclear arsenals will, for the first time in many years, find themselves outside the framework of mutual control. And the most important question, what could all this lead to? We will look for the answer to this question together with you in our upcoming episodes. So be sure to subscribe, leave a like, and we'll see you in the next broadcasts. My name is Anastasia Husarieva. Take care of yourselves and wash your hands with soap. Bye-bye, everyone.